Good evening and welcome to our ordinary council meeting for the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder for tonight, the 16th of December 2024. I open up tonight's meeting right on our scheduled time of 7 p.m. On behalf of the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land in which we meet today. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. Our opening prayer for tonight was to be led by Pastor Joseph Yepwe from Church West. I'd like to invite Councillor Brownlee to lead us in prayer this evening. Councillor Brownlee, and for those who are here this evening, please stand. Thank you, Councillor Brownlee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Father God, we just pause at this moment, knowing that we're just mere human beings and we need wisdom that is heavenly, and we can only seek that and find that in you. So I just pray, Lord, and first off, I thank you for our Mayor, our CEO, our Deputy Mayor, and my fellow councillors, the city staff, Lord, just for the work that they have put in. And I do ask and pray, Lord, for wisdom, for understanding here tonight as we deliberate, we make decisions, Lord, on issues that are going to affect our city. Lord, we just pray that you will protect our people in this city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. Lord, we have concerns that are of health, Lord, social concerns, and we just want to lay them all at your feet, because you ask us to cast all our care on you because you care for us. So, Father God, we thank you for what you've done, what you're doing, and what you're going to do for us. We just ask all these things now of you in the name of your Son, our Saviour, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Brownlee. And with no notice whatsoever this evening, you've done exceptionally well, so thank you. Please note this meeting is being recorded and streamed live on the Council's website in accordance with the City's public participation in Council meeting policy, which can be viewed on Council's website. All reasonable care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in the public gallery, it's assumed your consent is given if your image is broadcast. The recommendations contained in this agenda are officers' recommendations only and should not be acted upon until Council has resolved to adopt those recommendations. The resolutions of Council should be confirmed by perusing the minutes of the Council meeting at which these recommendations were considered. Members of the public should also note that they act at their own risk if they enact any resolution prior to receiving official written notification of Council's decision. We have a full house for our last OCM of 2024. Deputy Mayor, good evening to you. Councillor Bodica, good evening. Hello, Councillor Winner. Councillor Johnson, great to have you with us. Greetings, Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Brownlee, hello. Hello, Councillor Turner. Councillor Viskovich, a very nice, pleasant evening to you. Our members of staff with us tonight, Mr CEO, good evening. Our Director of Advocacy and Strategy, Mia Hicks, good evening to you, Mia. Our Director of Engineering, Louis Camporelli. Louis, good evening to you. Cassandra Yeager is with us tonight, our Director of Corporate and Commercial. Cass, good evening to you. Zandra Kernock is with us as well, our Executive Manager of Finance, alongside our Executive Manager of Governance and Risk Services. Zandra, good evening to you. Francis Liston takes up that second position. Francis, good evening. Sashi is with us this evening as our IT Service Delivery Officer, and our Governance Officer is Jamie Boys with us tonight. Evening, Jamie and Sashi. He's got the headphones on, hopefully he's tuned in. Visitors tonight, we have 3 in the gallery. We have 2 press, and I also welcome our Head of Marketing in Pia Timmer, who's with us tonight as well. No apologies from elected members, we're all here. Staff are here, no leave of absence. In response to previous public questions taken on notice, there is nil. We have 1 public question this evening coming from Mr. David Oates. Mr. Oates, if you'd like to make your way through to the podium. There is a microphone there for you to address Council, starting with your name and address and your question this evening. Thank you, Mr. Oates.
Okay, my name is David Oates, 73 Lyle Street, Lamington. Before I start today, it's appropriate that I pass on season greetings to everybody tonight. My question is, as the probity report is an issue of absolute importance, could the Council show transparency and accountability and duly inform the ratepayers when the findings of the probity report will be released?
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Oates. Appreciate your question tonight. The CEO will be meeting with lawyers this week. We hope to have an update in February 2025 that we're able to pass on. Thank you for your question and season greetings to you as well. Thank you, Mr. Oates. There are no further public access questions tonight or public question time. There's no petitions, deputations or presentations reported. Notations of interest, I have several this evening. Councillor Bodica on item 14.14, overdue debtor, a financial member of a debtor. Councillor Viskovich, item 14.14, overdue debtor on page 20, due to hiring a venue from a debtor. Also for Councillor Viskovich tonight, 15.21, the Goldfields Children Charity as a donation, a financial as a sponsor. On item 15.44 tonight, which is with us this evening, I can tell you that. Usher Park Lights and also the Goldfields Oasis Lights. On page 150, a tenderer is a client. And in regards to the matters on 15.27 and 15.28 into an extension to workforce accommodation for Hopkins and Vivian, an impartiality as a real estate agent dealing with a property in proximity. Deputy Mayor this evening has an impartiality as a sponsor providing donations to 15.211, which is just shy of where I'm at, the Goldfields Children Charity. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The 15.27 and 15.28, the extension to Vivian Street and also to Hopkins Street. Folks who are involved in that are sponsors of a ride that the Deputy Mayor participates in as an impartiality, and also a overdue debtors on 14.0104, a financial as the husband is a member of a debtor. A financial interest from one of our staff members this evening, from our Director of Advocacy and Strategy, in regards to the award of tender T002-2425 Usher Park Oasis Field Sporting Light Upgrade on page 150. The Director's husband owns a business that was tendered and is a closely associated person. Being her husband, I'd hope so. Councillor Winner this evening on 15.27 and 15.28, the extension of time-limited approval on Hopkins Street and Vivian Street respectively. The councillor's daughter was a cheer team member sponsored by the applicant for the recent national cheer competition. That covers both items there. For Councillor Turner, overdue debtors on page 20, a financial as her husband is a member of a debtor, that's 14.14. The other matter for Councillor Turner at 15.41 is the KBBA car park asphalt on page 133, a financial as husband worked for a company that did work on the project. An update to Councillor Bodica, a sponsor application for 15.21, which is the Goldfields Children Charity, a financial as being a sponsor. I think this is the last one from myself. On 15.21, the sponsorship application from the Goldfields Children Charity on page 60, as I'm the host of the annual charity ball. 14.14, the overdue debtors report, a financial as I'm an honorary member of a debtor. 15.41, the KBBA asphalting of the car park, page 133, a financial as I'm a commentator with the NBL1 West coverage for the KBBA. And that is the declarations this evening. Do I have any other further declarations, councillors? No, thank you. Applications for leave of absence. Councillors, I have not received any applications for leave. Item 9.2, a procedural motion to suspend 9.1 of the Standing Orders Local Law of 2023. That is for us to sit down when we speak this evening. Do I have a mover for the procedural? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Very quick. Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. Discussion, Deputy Mayor? No. Discussion, Councillor Viskovich? No dissent, councillors? We'll be sitting down this evening, carried 9-0. Councillors, the mayoral announcements were passed on to you during the week, from what I understand. The highlights within the last month include a trip with the CEO and myself to Canberra, meeting with representatives from the Minister for Indigenous Australians, meeting with Senator Perrin Davey, with our member for O'Connor, Rick Wilson, with who's the Shadow Minister for Water and Emergency Management, timely meeting. We also met with the Minister McBain, for the Minister for Regional Development, Local Government and Territories, alongside a meeting with an advisor of the Office of the Honourable Amanda Rishworth, and also met with the Senior Advisor of the Honourable Claire O'Neill, the Minister for Housing and Homelessness, alongside an AMCA board meeting as well, all conducted in Canberra. Following on from that, we had a great St Barbara's parade. We made a tour of 101 Brookman Street. We have had, can I say, the seniors' Christmas lunch was delightful this year. Well done to our staff. I believe most councillors were in attendance for that, which is wonderful to see. It was a beautiful lunch, alongside many of us attending, and can I thank you all, councillors, those who attended school concerts. It is a very busy time of the year. Councillor Viskovich, Councillor Turner in particular, Councillor O'Donnell attended. I think Councillor Winner might have attended one, no, and that was it. But a very busy couple of weeks. Continued with meeting with the police superintendent about crime matters, alongside our Community Safety and Crime Prevention Working Group meeting, which we had good attendance to, and the launch of our Safer Streets Patrol vehicles and CCTV as well, in collaboration with City and Police just yesterday. It's fantastic, the initiative that the City has taken above and beyond, which is great. Confirmation of minutes. Sorry, councillors, any questions on those? No. Confirmation of minutes from the ordinary meeting on the 18th of the 11th, 2024. Do we have a mover for the minutes? Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. Seconded, Councillor Brownlee. Any discussion from those minutes? No? No further discussion, councillors? Thank you. Carried 9-0. Motions of which previous notice has been given, there are nil. There are a couple of items for urgent business tonight. They've been approved by myself. Councillors, we did have the special audit and risk meeting, which was conducted prior to this meeting tonight at 6 p.m. The minutes of that meeting, or the report from that particular meeting, will become 14.1.12 under our committee reports. And further to that, we have an additional 3 late items onto our confidential agenda. One of those is the probity review update, the disposal of land at Area 1 Broadwood, and also a late item agenda only published today, councillors, 1715 Lot 500 101 Brookman Street. Those particular 3 items will be discussed later in the agenda. Our en-bloc resolution for tonight, councillors, from the reports of committees covers 14.1.1 and 14.1.2, 14.1.5, 14.1.6, 14.1.7, 14.1.8, 14.1.9, 14.1.10 and 14.1.11. We are pulling 14.1.3 and pulling 14.1.4 alongside adding 14.1.12 to tonight's agenda. Can I have a mover for the en-bloc resolution, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Seconded, Councillor Johnson. Was that a hand, Councillor Johnson? Yep, thank you. Moved, Deputy Mayor. Second, Councillor Johnson. No dissent to that, councillors? No, carried 9-0 that those items will be moved and carried. That leaves us with Councillor Winner. You wish to speak on item 14.1.3, which is the year-to-date progress dashboards as of September 2024. Do you wish to move the motion? Yes. Thank you, Councillor Winner. Seconder to that. Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. Go ahead, Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would just like to take the opportunity to firstly congratulate staff once again on the level of information detailed in these dashboards. I note that we have some significant amounts of funds being owed by debtors, particularly in the 90-plus days area, which I would like to see progressed, as they have been there for some time now, and that we seem to be well positioned in regards to the timing of capital project expenditure when compared to budget. With a big remainder of this financial year to go in terms of projects, these dashboards will remain critical in assisting elected members to remain on top of timings, progress and expenditure in a much more visual and transparent way. So again, I'd just like to thank staff and encourage all councillors to continue to use these dashboards. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Councillor Viskovich, wish to speak? Any other further discussion on item 1413, councillors? No. No dissent? Carried 9-0. Now, item 1414, Councillor Viskovich, Councillor Turner, Councillor Bodica, the Deputy Mayor and myself have declared financial interests, which leaves Councillor Winner, Councillor Johnson, Councillor O'Donnell and Councillor Brownlee in the chamber. Mr CEO, I'll refer to you.
Thank you, councillors. Due to the disclosure of interest by 5 councillors, we no longer have a quorum to consider this matter. We'll refer the matter off for further advice and refer it back to the January Ordinary Council meeting. Thank you. Come back.
Councillors, sorry, Mr CEO, do you wish to speak to anything there? No? Moving on.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to advise that due to the loss of quorum, we'll refer this matter to the January Ordinary Council meeting and seek advice from the department.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Councillors, 14.1.12 has emerged as our late item tonight, which is from our annual report and our audit and risk meeting, which was conducted just prior to tonight's meeting, which I think I've handed my sheet actually to the staff already, so that's very efficient from myself. However, we do have a recommendation that is on your screen just here, councillors. The difference from this will need to be a committee recommendation as is being changed at this point in time, adding that point 6 from the previous meeting. Do I have a mover for this motion, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Move, Deputy Mayor. Seconder for that. Thank you, Councillor Winner. Deputy Mayor, you wish to speak?
From this, I'd like to thank the staff with their diligence and thoroughness in preparing all the detailed reports, which reflect strong legislative compliance and demonstrates strategic foresight in executive planning. Your hard work provides critical information and assists us councillors with making informed decisions. And as we approach the festive season, I would like to extend my gratitude and hope everyone has a very well-earned break.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Winner, seconder.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to echo the sentiments of the Deputy Mayor and congratulate staff on a fantastic report. As outlined within the report, it's been a very big year for the city and the information that's within there does show very clearly the activities which have occurred over the last financial year. I'd just like to highlight in particular item 5 in the committee recommendation in regards to the annual electors meeting, which will be held on the 20th of January 2025 at 6 p.m. I would encourage residents to please come down and raise any of their concerns at that meeting from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker against? Councillor Turner.
Okay, so I'll be speaking against this. Whilst I support the bulk of the committee recommendation, and I do commend our staff for the work, because of point 5, when the date of when the annual electors meeting will be, which is the 20th of January, which is in holiday period, I don't believe there is a point in moving alternate motion because I don't think we have enough numbers around the table. With our change to our council dates, it'll be in line with the OCM, which seems to be convenient for everybody else. I would like to look at moving forward, maybe in future years when we look at our council calendar a bit more thoroughly. We didn't look at that and it was maybe an oversight, so that's why I'm voting against it. I don't believe it's the best date. I do appreciate that the annual electors meeting must be within 56 days of handing this report down. I just would have liked to have seen it to be a little bit later so that I feel more residents could attend as it's a holiday period.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Speaker for, speaker against, speaker for, speaker against. Before the mover has the right of reply, can I thank the staff for their annual report, a very comprehensive, well put together document obviously highlighted by our financial situation, which is at the rear of the document, but the amount of work that's gone on from our organisation across the 23-24 financial year, we actually forget at times just how pivotal our organisation is in this community. At times, our community may not appreciate the extent to what our staff and our elected members go to deliver services and also to deliver to our community. And this report highlights just exactly what our staff and our elected members have put themselves up for in not only their roles, but also as their elected member role as well. So can I just send my appreciation to staff as well. The mover has the right of reply.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to also commend Councillor Turner for bringing to the fore the change in date that's usually the last weekend in January, and they align with an OCM. However, the following weekend will also be a long weekend. So I think at this time this may be the best date, but I think moving forward it's great. Thank you, Councillor Turner, for bringing that to the attention of staff.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. As we've had some dissent, I will put the item to a vote. Those in favour of the committee recommendation, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those against? 2. Carried 7-2. The next item on our agenda tonight, reports of officers, and as circulated today, councillors, for those to be aware of, for the en bloc, the following will be considered part of the en bloc this evening. 15.1.1, the Statement of Financial Activity. 15.1.2, the Accounts of Payable Report. 15.1.3, the Council Calendar for 2025. 15.2.3, the Change of Use, Holiday House, 37 Hinnamoa Street, Piccadilly. 15.2.5, Native Title, Kakara A, WAD 297 of 20. 15.2.6, the 2025 Calendar of Events. And 15.4.3, the award of tender T006 2425, construction of new sewer main extension. Councillors, anything that you wanted to pull from those still? No? Can we have a mover of the en bloc, please? Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Seconded, Councillor Winner. No further discussion on that with the en bloc. Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Winner. No dissent, councillors, to the en bloc. We will carry those items 9-0. Item 15.1.4 is our community standards policy. Councillor Winner, you wish to speak? Do you wish to move? Wish to move? Thank you, Councillor Winner. Moving item 15.1.4. A seconder for 15.1.4, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Winner. You can proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. While it might not seem compared to some of the other items on the agenda tonight, this item and this motion is a very important one for our community. There is a very famous quote by Lou Holtz which says, "The standards you establish for others must reflect the standards you set for yourself." If we as a city and a community are not prepared to stop accepting poor standards and to start to work towards increasing it, then our community will be defined by others, by the standards that we accept and that we stand for. This policy is about the city working with the private sector, the not-for-profit sector, and the government sectors to assist in getting our community back to where it needs to be. The standards we are all choosing to walk past is a standard that we are all accepting, and it is time that we stop expecting subpar for our community. This motion and policy is a big step in that direction, which I hope my fellow councillors and our community as a whole supports and actions moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Deputy Mayor, you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I'd like to echo the sentiments of Councillor Winner. I'd also like to commend ex-councillor Matthew for his vision and persistence in driving the original motion for enhancing community pride and economic development. The adoption of a community standards policy will demonstrate leadership by setting clear expectations for unkept public and private spaces. This initiative will revitalise key areas of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, creating a more appealing environment for residents, businesses, tourists and potential investors, ultimately supporting economic growth and community pride. The policy establishes a framework for identifying, prioritising improvement projects, ensuring resources are allocated effectively to high visibility areas and high use areas. It also integrates ongoing asset management and encourages private landowners to undertake improvements, promoting sustainable long-term beautification across our city.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for? Before the mover has the right of reply, Deputy Mayor, well said. This is our chance to lead locally, councillors, but also reinvigorate the word pride back into our community and having a sense of pride of our public areas. Whatever we can do locally to enhance that, I think we need to take that first approach, and well said by Councillor Winner in regards to leading by example and setting the standard as well. I think that's what our councillors are striving towards moving forward, and that is setting the standard, whether that be in governance or whether that be in beautification of our city. I think we're on the way. Mover has the right of reply. Councillor Winner. Not taken. No dissent to that item as earmarked. I will carry the item 9-0. 15.2.1, sponsorship application, Goldfields Children Charity Ball. I've declared a financial interest. Deputy Mayor will take the seat. Sorry, so too has Councillor Viskovich and Councillor Bodica.
Thank you. Okay, do I have a mover for... Sorry, Councillor Turner, we have an alternate.
I would like to move an alternate motion.
And councillors, you'll see that up on the board. Do I have a seconder for the alternate motion? Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Turner, would you like to speak?
Okay. So my alternate motion is that council approve the full amount of $26,210 for in-kind support as requested to fund the full amount of venue hire. So for 25 years, this charity has existed. It's 25 years next year, and I would say it has set the benchmark for excellence, and I would like to think it has encouraged others to dare and perhaps dream and be a little bit brave of just what, as a regional community, we can do. Millions and millions of dollars have been raised just from this charity, but also from others in our community that have been brave enough to take the leap forward after seeing what this group of people could do. Anne Hill and her team of, I will say, maybe naive but brave people set out with a dream that what they could do in the city, we could do here. They used garbage bags to line the entrance of Marquee Stadium, which people didn't realise because it was dark. They had a white sheet for a projector screen and they had very little funds. They rolled up their shirt sleeves and they got the job done. And a fantastic event for our community was born. Not that just raises money for very valuable charities that has evolved, but it is also of huge economic benefit to our city. The amount of money that gets spent from this charity, people attending, gown hire, hair, makeup, spending money, doing all kinds of things, is also a spin-off effect. The reason I would like the full amount approved is that basically we've ended up with this amount because our council officers are a lot more diligent in how they work out things, and this is in-kind support. I would suggest that in previous years, where we've put the cost down for $10,000 in sponsorship, is actually been a similar type of amount that we have actually supported this charity in. So I would like council to continue with that same amount of support. I think given the amount of other events we support with in-kind support at different venues, I think it's a very small amount to support the charity.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Seconder, Councillor O'Donnell, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Acting Mayor. It says in our policy that events have commenced or begun promotion, the city cannot sponsor retrospectively. And that's why one of the recommendations, we just approved the 10,000. I do agree with Councillor Turner. The children's charity is huge. It's one of the biggest events in this city. I would dare say in going forward, and I assume once their event is finished, no matter what happens tonight, but once their event is finished the next time around, get your application in ASAP before you start advertising if our policy is maintained. And my only concern is we support this. Are we opening the floodgates for the next ones and the ones that we have been refusing in recent months? I know this is a much, much bigger event than any of the others have been brought to us, but possibly it's something we could revisit our policy, discuss it, and just to put in a clause there that we could do something. But I am a bit worried about if we chop and change on the run. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Do we have any speakers against? Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I will note this, I'll be offering a foreshadowed motion onto this one as well. My concern is very similar to Councillor O'Donnell's in regards to the precedents this may be setting, but I also feel that while I can understand the Councillor Turner's position in regards to increasing, and I would agree that it should be increased, my position would be that it should only be increased to include the hire of the Oasis Stadium grandstand and training room for the 10 days to the value of $23,740. The real event costs, which are incurred by the city, such as the event cleaners that clean the toilets in the nights, and events duty managers should still be incurred. I feel it's a fair compromise to go from where it was, and that's where my position would be.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for? And if there's no further debate, we can put it to the mover has the right to reply.
So I'd like to thank Councillor O'Donnell for seconding the motion and the good points that Councillor Winner made. I am just through the chair, just to the CEO. Would it be more palatable to councillors if I changed the alternate motion slightly to 23,740 and took out the cleaning and the duty manager in there? Can we change it slightly?
Through the chair, no.
Okay.
The debate's already proceeded through.
I was happy with it. It was just for other councillors. So, lastly, what I would like to mention is, with Councillor O'Donnell brought up a very salient point about our sponsorship program not supporting events that have previously begun promotion. What I would like to note is that most people that have had sponsorship for long term think they're actually doing the right thing, that they're promoting the city. So they don't understand that they're doing anything wrong, and I think moving forward we may need to look at that policy. That's just the last thing I'd like to say. We might need to have a little bit of flexibility there and look at our event policy. I'd like to in the future, but thank you for raising that, Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. And I'll just make mention, if this motion is not successful, then we will look at the alternate motion and the foreshadowed motion. Thank you, Mr. CEO. I'll put the current motion as Councillor Turner's, seconded by Councillor O'Donnell. Those in favour, raise your hand. That is against. 4-2. Thank you, Councillor. Now we can move to the foreshadowed motion. That one's been lost. Thank you, Councillor Winner.
Deputy Mayor, do we require a seconder first, or would you like me to state the proposed foreshadowed motion? State. Wonderful. So I'd like to propose if we could bring that last motion back up, that council approved the amount of $23,740 for in-kind support as requested to the full cost of venue hire. Actually, could I do a point of clarification with the CEO? It wouldn't be for the full cost of venue hire either, because obviously there are additional costs in point B and C, as outlined within the officer's report. So it would be for the hire of the Oasis stadiums, grandstand and training rooms for 10 days? Or would the wording there be sufficient, Mr. CEO?
Yeah, through the chair, I think that can work as it's written.
And do we have a seconder? Councillor Turner. Thank you. The mover has the right to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. As highlighted in the last one, I feel that it's the item raised by Councillor Turner was a fantastic move in the right direction for it, and I believe that it is only fair that we continue to support this wonderful event. To date, I believe the city over the last 10 years has sponsored a total of approximately $100,000+ towards this event. So this increase to cover the cost of the Oasis stadiums, grandstands and training rooms for 10 days to the value of $23,740 is fair. However, there are real costs still associated with this as well. So I do believe it is a fair compromise to seek out the covering of these costs from the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Councillor Turner.
Yeah, I'm more than, through the chair, more than happy to support the foreshadowed motion, happy that it's still on the table so that we can support this, as I spoke in length about this very valuable community event that doesn't just raise money for charity, it also has a huge economic and social benefit for our community.
Okay, for the foreshadowed motion, do we have any speakers against the motion? Councillor Johnson.
Just looking up the request to fund the full cost of the venue hire and Mr. CEO, would that be the appropriate wording to put it there? Because as Councillor Winner did put up, that there are other costs associated with it which aren't venue hire costs. So it won't be the venue hire, the full cost of the venue hire, it'll be X something. Just want to make sure that this motion is clean, and it's not clean because it's exactly the same as the top one, except we've just changed the amounts. So if it's full cost of the venue hire, it covers everything. Because that's the initial motion's intent. It's not up there.
Through the chair, the motion as it reads at the moment is for the cost of the venue hire. There are other associated costs that they may still need to meet, but that is the maximum cost contribution from council for the venue hire. So any other ancillary costs they would still have to pay.
Okay, any speakers for the motion? Any other speakers against? I'll now put, we'll give him a right of reply. Thank you, Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just final comments from myself in regards to this. Again, it's a fantastic opportunity for the city to continue their sponsorship arrangement with the Golfers Children Charity and the tremendous work that it's done for a very long time in our community and for our community. So I think this is a wonderful compromise to ensure that their contribution to our city is acknowledged, and the city continues a fantastic relationship without looking at the previous motion, which we're looking to cover the entire amount. I think this is that fair compromise in the middle, which it covers all expenses across the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. I'll now put item 15.2.1, the sponsorship application, the alternate motion by Councillor Winner to the vote. Those in favour, raise your hand. Carried 6-0. Can we now bring the others back to the meeting? Thank you.
Item 15.2.2, the Early Childhood Education Care and Conference. Councillor Winner, wish to move this motion? Thank you. Wishing you to move. Seconder for the motion, please. Councillor Turner. Go ahead, Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Childcare remains one of our ongoing significant issues within our community. And while there are several new centres being built or expanded on presently, there was still the issue around actually staffing those centres in an ongoing and sustainable way. This is why I'm absolutely thrilled that this report and the outcomes achieved to date has been shared with our council and our community. Scholarships, conferences, professional development opportunities, and access to presentations which would not normally have been accessible to local providers and workforces are only some of the wonderful work that has gone into working to address this community pain point. With a second Professional Development Week being planned for March 2025 and to again be held free, we are not only looking to assist in addressing training and recruitment challenges, but also ensuring that those who are providing care for our children are receiving all the best possible knowledge, training and resources accessible and available to do so. I would like to thank and commend all who have been involved in making this possible today and look forward to the many initiatives still to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Councillor Turner.
Just through the Mayor, I'd like to thank Councillor Winner for moving this motion. I'd also like to thank our staff for the excellent background report they've supplied. To have 16 scholarships awarded in our city is outstanding. It is outstanding. And for our city to become a leader in this space, when childcare placement and childcare places and availability is something that is being struggled with through, not just in regional areas, not just through WA, it's throughout Australia. It's being identified by governments, and the fact that our city has become a leader in trying to assist in being able to have best practice, to have as many trained childcare workers, and to have I'm going to say the best resources available to our childcare sector, I think is also reflected in the amount of development applications that we've seen come through our city and the increase in people wanting to be in this space because they can see that our city is wanting to assist and get workers in this very valuable place. Because for every childcare worker we get, it means that there are several people that are able to return to our workforce, and we need workers. And we need parents to be able to go to work. So I'd just like to thank Councillor Winner for moving the motion, but also our staff, not just on the report they've done, but on the hard work that we've done as a city to try and become a leader in this space. And I hope that other local governments are paying attention to it.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Mover with a right of reply? Councillor Winner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank Councillor Turner for seconding this motion and her kind words towards it. And again, encourage councillors to be supportive of this and continue to support initiatives such as this moving forward. We want our city to continue to grow and thrive and develop and attract families to not only stay in Kalgoorlie, but to move here and call this wonderful city home. There are a lot of pressure points that do prevent that at times, and childcare, as I said, has been one of those. So this, along with many other initiatives across many other areas, are fantastic uses of council time and resources to ensure that we can create those environments where we are looking at growth and development and expansion opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. No dissent recorded for that particular item, councillors? No, carried 9-0. Item 15.2.4, change of use, consulting rooms and ancillary dwelling, 1 Egan Street, Kalgoorlie. I have Councillor Winner and Turner down for speaking for this one. Councillor Turner, you wish to move the motion? Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Winner, you wish to second. Councillor Turner.
Just through the Mayor, I'd like to move this motion. I'm very happy to see this motion come to council. This building was, let's say that it was derelict. There had been a fire there, there was a lot of antisocial behaviour happening there, and the owners and the applicants, they took on a project that I will say would have been daunting for many people. Not only was the condition that the building was in, it was in a prominent place that people could see it, and it had some heritage issues as well. They've done an outstanding job in restoring it, and the fact that they've put an application in to be able to provide change of use for consulting rooms for some very much needed services to our city, I have to say I think is an excellent use of the building as well, noting that it'll still be for their own accommodation above. So it's going to have the best of, I think, both worlds here. It's not going to be, it's not asking for much. It's not asking to have 20 consultants in it, lots of parking, lots of disruption to nearby residents, but it's an excellent use of the building moving forward, and they have done an excellent job in restoring it, which I know that council has given them some previous assistance as well, and I'm glad to see that our council funds were used so wisely, and I just commend them on bringing this forward and also giving us some much needed services that they're going to expand in the city that they already provide.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to start by echoing the sentiments of Councillor Turner. I think she's addressed the key points really well. However, I would also like to ask councillors to consider supporting this application, if for no other reason other than because Kalgoorlie needs more access to more psychological and health practitioners if we want to continue to keep people residing in our city. Waiting lists are already very high for essential support, so any work that is being done to attract new options to our city, such as what is being proposed in this item, needs to be supported. The application in itself stands up on its own from a planning, development and regulatory point of view and deserves the support of council. But it is in the increased accessibility opportunities which comes from this, particularly for those most vulnerable in our community, which really makes this a very, very important motion to support. So I do hope my fellow councillors will also support this motion moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Seconder has spoken. Speaker for? Sorry, Speaker against. Speaker for, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to echo the sentiments of Councillor Turner and Councillor Winner. I'm really pleased to see this come to council. The consulting rooms at Egan Street, the proposal respects and enhances the Glendevon's heritage. And I think by incorporating these conservation measures through a management strategy, it ensures the building's cultural significance is preserved, which I think is really, really important. And I would, I suppose, urge more heritage building owners to, I suppose, come to an area where they can diversify their buildings for different uses as well. The proposed consulting rooms addresses a much needed community professional psychological services that simultaneously will revitalise the area and the underutilised heritage building. So I commend the owners of the building for bringing this proposal to council and urge my fellow councillors to also support this motion.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Speaker against? Speaker for? Mover has the right of reply. Councillor Turner.
So I'd like to thank my fellow councillors for seconding the motion and speaking for it. I'd just like to also note that earlier in the agenda, we had an item about community standards for some of our buildings. This is a perfect example of a property owner that has done 100% the right thing at great expense to themselves, it's best practice. But not only that, moving their facilities, which Councillor Winner did highlight the type of services they offer, which they were already offering in the city, moving them there also is best practice. It's utilising those buildings, and I would hope that as the Deputy Mayor noted, that other business owners and property owners take note that it is possible to do this.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. No dissent has been recorded so far to this item. Is there any dissent, councillors? No. Carried 9-0. 15.2.7, the extension to time-limited approval for workforce accommodation. We have an impartiality from the Deputy Mayor. Councillor Winner has declared tonight a financial. I believe that is all for consideration this evening for this item. Councillors, as we had previous discussion on this, and in line with our standing orders, Mr. CEO, you can confirm with my take here. The original item was moved by, that's 15.2.7, was moved by Councillor Viskovich and Councillor Johnson at the previous meeting. Then we engaged in debate with Councillor O'Donnell. Then we had a procedural motion from Councillor Turner, which was then seconded by Councillor Winner. That halted proceedings of the conversation at that point in time. As we had commenced debate on the matter, those who have spoken are no longer able to speak on the motion already. Therefore, Councillor O'Donnell was the only member to speak on the item last time, is unable to speak on this this item as it comes back. The seconder, Councillor Johnson, did not speak on the item when it came up. However, debate had started, so therefore Councillor Johnson is not available to speak on this matter as well. Is that my interpretation, Mr. CEO?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that's correct.
Okay. And the mover still has the opportunity to discuss matters as the right of reply. That is the lay of the land for 15.2.7. We did have a procedural that debate is no longer, that the item is adjourned to the 16th of December Ordinary Council meeting. That was moved by Councillor Turner, seconded by Councillor Winner. It would be wise to roll with a procedural motion on this matter at this time to resume debate on this matter. By resuming debate, by being a mover or a seconder, you are still able to enter the debate. This is just simply a procedural motion. Do I have a mover? Sorry, Mr. CEO, is that the correct interpretation?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, so procedural motion to resume debate is what we need now.
Okay. Do I have a procedural motion? Thank you, Councillor Turner, to resume debate. A seconder to resume debate? Councillor Brownlee? No dissent to resuming debate? No, that procedural is carried. 8-0. Moved by Councillor Turner, seconded by Councillor Brownlee. Debate was halted after a speaker for, so therefore we will pick things up with a speaker against 15.2.7. Is there a speaker against 15.2.7? Speaker for 15.2.7. Councillor Turner.
Okay. I'll just pull my microphone a bit closer. So through the Mayor. So FIFO is a contentious issue not only in our community but in many regional communities. Unfortunately, it is not going anywhere anytime, and it is a beast that I would say has morphed into something maybe totally what it was intended for. For some time, FIFO has also spilled into our residential homes and rentals, our hotels, our Airbnbs, our motels, and even our caravan parks, leaving residents without the ability to compete to rent a home in a competitive rent market, often being outpriced of the market, with companies willing to pay whatever they can to get that house, caravanners turning up with no place to park a van, and people here for events, tourism, visiting family, friends, weddings, just calling through town, or even funerals with no place to stay, because they have literally taken up every available part of accommodation in our community, which means families can't move here. Of course, we can't make a person move here, but by not having a house to rent or a place to stay that is affordable, it certainly deters them. Tonight's proponent, whilst not an owner of Goldfields Villages, whilst not an owner of Goldfields Villages and a proponent tonight, we had a presentation from a user of the camp. And some of the information that they gave, and I've asked if I can share this, that they've sourced, and they were happy for me to share it, was that one of the users of the camp has 510 employees working locally, of which 364 of those employees are residential and 146 are FIFO. They also have employees based in other locations and offices which sometimes travel here for work and need accommodation at times. From these numbers, they're certainly a large residential employer. So far, they have been able to transition 14 families into housing, and they'll be encouraging more employees to move here to live, work and play if they have more housing available. They offer great incentives and assistance packages, but they had to stop this because quite simply they didn't have enough accommodation to be able to continue, hence the need and the decision of them to go into having FIFO accommodation. Quite simply, they had 70 plus properties, but it was a choice to accommodate 70 employees with their families, or between 140 and 250 employees in those houses, sharing the rental properties rather than to have much needed families in them. I would think surely it's better to have families in houses or have those houses available to the open market for other people to rent than mining companies outbidding potential renters and families and putting workers into that accommodation. At least families will become part of social fabric in our community. So in some instances, unfortunately, workforce accommodation seems it may have a place, no matter how much disliked it is by members of the community and quite often myself. A 2022 report commissioned by the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Chamber of Commerce paper into housing that the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder was part of highlighted that we need at least 410 houses built each year to be able to house the people that live here. That report's freely available. This was in 2022 and this would have increased. In that time, how many houses have been built? Well, only 58 have been approved in the years of 2023 and 24 and 2024 and 25 to date. Once again, freely available information. Some of those houses have not been completed yet. We also don't have land to build 410 houses on a year, with only 74 lots approved for use for housing in the past 2 years. Even the M Group proposal for housing on Gateacre and Hart Kerspian doesn't come close to filling the void of what we need for houses for people to live here. So do we want people that are FIFO taking up our rentals and living in houses? No matter how much we dislike workforce accommodation, we're pushing them into it. There's also a current low rental vacancy figures available through REWA, which is very freely available as well, and the rising rents that are being pushed up by people bidding for houses and outbidding people that need them. We have such a low rental vacancy land, so where are all the families? Who is living in these houses? Simple. If workers are being housed in houses instead of suitable accommodation, families or even an individual business that might want to rent a house to move a worker and their family here, they just can't compete. This was highlighted last week when the proponent was freely admitted that they would outbid other people in the rental market to secure a rental for 4 workers rather than a family. So, whilst we don't like it, this development now aligns with our current policy framework. Other councils need to form their own view. Perhaps we now need to look at houses that are for people that need houses rather than for workers. Hotels and motels being available not just for workers, but for people that need them. Caravan parks, surprisingly, could also be available for people with caravans. Certainly that's something for us to consider and something I've considered in looking at extending this accommodation. I don't like FIFO. I don't necessarily want it in our community, but if we take a little bit of control about where it is and how it is, it may free up some valuable housing and some options that we need for other people. Certainly the providers supplying houses, motels, hotels and caravan parks, I question if they're against FIFO or if they're also supplying that market for the FIFO market. That's the question I'm grappling with here.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor O'Donnell, if you wouldn't mind, please, just behind you, the public gallery mic's on. Can you please just turn that off for us? Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. I've just realised. No, definitely not. Thank you. Speaker against the matter. Speaker for, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I probably just need to touch on, Councillor Turner's mentioned it and echoed it a number of times now, the community dislike for workforce accommodation, but you can't argue with the facts. And the facts are that workforce accommodation serves a specific purpose, providing housing for construction workers, essential to Kalgoorlie-Boulder, economic development. With a severe shortage of rental availability of just 0.6% indicated by REWA, these facilities alleviate pressure on the housing market, ensuring homes remain available for families within the city. The demand for approximately 400 new dwellings per annum starkly contrasts with the 58 new dwelling development applications approved in 23-24. Falling significantly short of meeting local needs, workforce accommodation bridges this gap by providing immediate housing solutions for transient workers. Appropriate housing solutions ensure that residential properties remain available for families, while hotels and short-stay accommodation can continue to cater to tourism visitors as a vital part of our regional economy. The limited availability of residential land exacerbates the housing crisis, making it imperative to extend workforce accommodation approvals as a practical and immediate solution to meet the needs of key industries. And by extending this approval, Kalgoorlie-Boulder can accommodate its growing workforce without displacing families and impacting the tourism sector, ensuring a balanced, sustainable growth in a challenging housing market.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor Boddicker speaking for.
Thank you. Look, we're pretty much in between a rock and a hard place with what's happening, unfortunately, with the fly-in, fly-out workforce. But unfortunately also we're seeing families that are having to pay a lot more money to get accommodation. We're actually seeing families that are making the decision to leave and not stay here as well because of how expensive things are. As Councillor Turner and also the Deputy Mayor said, the public may not like the FIFO issue and the workplace accommodation, but I think sort of moving forward in order to make this, sort of a viable place for everybody, I think we'll have to probably go with it. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Boddicker. Speaker against? Sorry, Councillor Johnson, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Just a point of clarification. All the debate so far has been about FIFO, but we're talking about an extension of time and extending it from a 5-year, which is already approved,
yes,
to a 10-year.
Yes.
So the current 5-year is still in place, and
yes.
The initial accommodation was developed under that rate regime, and it was in place, and it would go through to the 4th year when the proponents can come forward. I've just got to get this right. Can come forward and put their case.
Yep.
What are we actually debating? The debate so far around the table has just been about FIFO. It's not about the extension of.
I guess the debate at the moment is those who are speaking for the motion are giving their reasons as to why they are speaking for supporting the extension of the time-limited approval at this point in time. I think each councillor, and I can't speak for all, have indicated that their intention to speak tonight is relevant to the matter that is being presented. However, the background and the information that each member is providing is quite clear on the position that they are taking to support the debate. Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for, before the mover has the right of reply. I think our councillors have spoken very well tonight in regards to this particular item, but As you point out, Councillor Johnson, our policy is there. This particular matter, when first brought to Council, was under the Town Planning Scheme number 1. We're now looking at Town Planning Scheme number 2, which I guess is where your question is coming from. As part of that, the applicant has the opportunity to come to Council and demonstrate a need point for the use of an extension to their particular facility, noting that they can only get a 10-year term as an entirety. From what was discussed last week with councillors, I believe that the proponent has fulfilled the need of the policy, which has been demonstrated to council. As pointed out, it is a delicate position that council finds itself in, and it is the first challenge to our policy to councillors. That's obviously quite evident tonight, and don't forget, I do make this warning, changing policy on the run is not effective. However, the policy that we have to work with at the moment is the cause of debate tonight. There have been several stats that have been provided by our councillors, and I'd encourage that fact does not get in the way of opinion. My other point that I do have in regards to this is no matter what we do put forward, councillors, we have, or whatever your position is, and I'll be looking to support the particular motion. Our council has been doing a very strong advocacy at a federal and state level to ensure that our residents are looked after primarily by fringe benefit tax exemptions. These businesses who are using fly-in, fly-out workers still have to provide fringe tax to their particular, or fringe benefit taxes to their particular businesses. So what we are trying to achieve as a council is to ensure more people are living here, in our role in advocacy, to ensure that our residents are more looked after than those who are flying in and flying out. At the same time, we're being challenged from a market that has been pointed out as through debate tonight, where getting things done and the priorities of shareholders is coming above community. That is a matter for to attend to, and I make this point very clear. This particular council is very strong in residential, but you've heard the point tonight that we've had only 50-odd buildings, new buildings in place, when we've got a demand clearly for at least 400 into the future, and as demonstrated last week by the proponents, that there is a future need for more workers in our city because we simply cannot house them. Councillor Viskovich, you are the mover of the motion. You have the right of reply.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for everyone's discussions this evening. I'm like most, and when I hear workforce accommodation, it immediately gives me a negative emotion and the thought of a ghost town. Knowing the Kalgoorlie-Boulder real estate market and the difficulties that families are having in the affordability of rental properties, I'm warming to the need of having limited workforce accommodation. Hearing of the program that this group are also offering their staff who live within the accommodation, having moved 14 families to the area since the 14th of February, shows me that they are preferring people who work with them who live local. Kalgoorlie-Boulder is a beautiful and unique place to live. However, it can be isolating, and I believe this workforce accommodation allows an employee to see how beautiful Kalgoorlie-Boulder is before moving their families over. This extension allows the group to extend their projects, lengthening employment for locals and the availability of homes for residents for a further 5 years. I think that is what the town needs at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. I will ask for those in favour of the recommendation to raise their hands as a clear guidance. Those in favour of the recommendation, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those against, Councillor Johnson, carried 7-1. We move to item 15.2.8. Previously, we had this item moved by Councillor Viskovich, seconded by Councillor Winner. Debate had halted after we had a mover and a seconder. Councillor Winner is not part of the discussions this evening. We then had a procedural motion to pause debate to the next OCM, and that is where we find ourselves at the moment. That was moved Councillor Turner, seconded Councillor Brownlee. So to resume debate on item 15.2.8, may I have a mover of the procedural? Thank you, Councillor Turner, and a seconder. Councillor O'Donnell. So Councillor Turner with the procedural, Councillor O'Donnell seconding that. We pick up debate. Mr CEO, probably some guidance from yourself here. We didn't have, well, the seconder's not in the room from the original debate. So do we need a new seconder for the motion, considering that something has popped up since?
Through you, Mr Mayor, no, the motion was actually moved. It's a live motion. It was only deferred.
Speaker against the motion? Speaker for the motion? Speaker against the motion? Thank you, Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, just as I said at the last get-go, the motion itself, the whole thing should
Sorry,
be...
Councillor Johnson, I've just been alerted to the fact I didn't ask for a vote on the procedural motion. Councillors, is there any dissent to the procedural motion? No? I'll carry that procedural motion 8-0. Thank you, Mr CEO. Good catch. Sorry, Councillor Johnson, sorry to interrupt you. You can pick up debate in voting and speaking against.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. As I mentioned before, this was approved under Town Planning Scheme 1, had a 5-year life on it, which is fine. With our new policy, which gave it 10, this should really come back to in the 4th year, where that extra extension should be taken up. As it is now, it's kind of like having it come through and then just saying, well, we'll extend it all now. That's not what the initial intent was of our policy, and we have moved it forward. But I would imagine that it would be a very complex task even for the developers, because I would imagine also that there would be a greater need to be very what needs to be presented to our city would be very, very above standard facilities. I don't think these are above standard facilities. I don't think there's been any dressing up done to them. Maybe a little bit with more newer type of accommodation may have been added into this area. And that's where I come from in regards to this one. Only that it's the policy itself is not being addressed the way it should be addressed. And I think we have opened up a can of worms with the last movement. I suppose I'm just going to say I'm going to look forward to the rest of the can of worms coming out, because moving forward, we're going to have to have a very, very, very close look at our workforce accommodation. Extending this workforce accommodation is not going to in any way fix the number of houses we get built into this area. It would probably be an idea for the proponents to go out and build houses. I think that FIFO is something which I'm not too keen for in Kalgoorlie-Boulder. It does suit a purpose, yes it does. But on the other hand, the permanence of our city, which has been around a lot of years, is going to be, we're going to lose that fabric. So hence, I will be voting against this.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Speaker for, Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. When this first came up, when I read it on the agenda weeks and weeks ago, I thought, oh, hold on. But the applicant's not doing anything illegal. He's entitled to apply for 10 years. It doesn't say, oh, you've got to wait till the 4th year or 4.5 years. He's entitled to. Also, after having a presentation done the other week, I was very impressed, and it helped me understand. If they don't do this, they'll just buy every house that comes on the market. Boom, buy, put workers in, buy, put workers in. We've got nothing then. There's nothing left. And they wonder why people are paying extraordinary rates. Lady said to me on the weekend she's paying $750. And the house is not that great. If she wants to upgrade, she's got to pay nearly $900. So I feel sorry for all the people out there that are trying to rent. And I'm all for this application. Yep, very much so.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Speaker against? Speaker for, Councillor Turner.
Okay, so I will also speak for this motion whilst taking on board what Councillor Johnson said. I would like to point out that what the proponent is applying for aligns with our current level, so that's actually impossible for them to do because we didn't have 400 lots of land, and 400 houses at, let's say, $500,000 each is a $200 million investment to get those houses up. I don't think that would be happening overnight. So even if they built only several a year, it's still going to take a long time to get to those 400 houses. And then they would outbid, if they took up all the available land, then we get in the position that nobody else in Kalgoorlie can build a house because our companies are outbidding everybody for the land to build houses. So we're going around in circles. So as a resident sent an email to councillors on yesterday or on the weekend, and it was about caravan parks, and they were lamenting that our caravan parks are full and workforce accommodation. I was a little bit confused about the email, but not approving or extending workforce accommodation certainly didn't alleviate the problems we have with our caravan parks, for example. So that is why I believe the proponent has applied within policy and what is permissible under council policy, and that's why I'm supporting it.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor Bodica.
I agree with what Councillor Turner is saying. We can only really go with the policy. So if the policy stipulates that, something can happen, we should be looking at it that way. The other thing is that around the table we've talked about the cost of living, of how much it is for somebody who's renting a house, $700, $800 a week. It's also very difficult for people to come up here as tourists, or to come up, if they've got an event on or a funeral or something like that, to get hotel accommodation. It's almost impossible. And, that's putting a heavy load on a lot of the hoteliers around the place as well. So, yeah, I think that I agree totally with what Councillor Turner's stipulating. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Bodica. Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for? Before the mover has the right of reply, I'll support this particular motion as well. However, Councillor Johnson, understand the points that you raise in regards to the policy challenge. I think they were addressed by staff in the report as to the actual policy that we do have, so therefore it is congruent to that. I would also draw to the attention of the submissions that were received in relation to this. It was publicly advertised for 28 days, and of those 28 days, we had one particular piece of one submission, and that was in support of the extension. The public notice was in newspaper and website publishing. There was also no owners and occupiers in the vicinity of the development who were likely to be affected, and also a sign approved by the Commission, or a sign of signs, by the Commissioner, or signs, sorry, were in place, and the requirement under the public consultation has taken place. I'll also raise in regards to the policy. When the policy came initially, we had some feedback. We went back, brought the policy back. There was no feedback to the policy. So this is the first time the policy has been tested. Under the time frame as well that we've been faced with LPS 1 into LPS 2, there's this particular development crosses over both of those particular timelines. So therefore, it's probably one that's more unique to the city at this particular point in time from that planning and development point of view. However, those who have been making noise did not comment on our policy, did not provide a submission to our policy when they had every opportunity to. We have made that very clear to our community. If those people who do wish to comment on what council's decisions are do not comment on our public policy or our public submissions, we cannot help them. Councillor Viskovich, you have the right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So again, just reiterating what I'd said earlier on the previous item. I've driven past this facility, and from the outside, the accommodation does look very tidy and quite appealing as essentially a workers' camp. Allowing them to apply now instead of waiting for until the fourth of the fifth year in their term will also allow the groups to make longer-term business commitments, and again providing longer-term employment to potentially grow our community with more families who will have their partner or friend enjoy our city before making the big move across. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. As the mover of the motion, we have had dissent recorded, so I will ask again for a vote. Those in favour of 15 to 8, please raise your hand. 7. Those against? 1. Councillor Johnson, moved 7-1. May we have Councillor Winner back, please? The Goldfields Indigenous Housing Organisation, bus and trailer maintenance. Councillor Turner, you wish to move the motion? Seconder to the motion. Councillor Brownlee. Councillor Turner, proceed please. And noting Councillor Bodica departing the chambers at 8:20.
Okay, so just through the Mayor, I'd like to move this motion. I am very supportive of this. Having our city bus available as part of the use for the Summer Response Strategy Working Group and GEHO, which is Goldfields Indigenous Housing Organisation, has been very, very important the last couple of years, and I'm very pleased that the city is able to support this in getting people that otherwise have no other means of transport home and are often left stranded in the city. I think I don't need to highlight it. I think we all know some of the issues that are raised because of that. And also I'd like to point out that there isn't actually, whilst there's some figures there, it doesn't cost the city money because we actually do get reimbursed for it.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Brownlee.
I wasn't going to speak, but I will. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to first off just commend the work put into this by the city officers, city staff, the bus dubbed Moragoro. I just love the fact that we as a city taking a lead, even though it is, some people may say it is not our responsibility, but taking the lead in providing a safe, reliable, efficient transport opportunity here for our people coming from sort of the northeast goldfields and the remote communities, while many other councils and such may believe that it is not their responsibility. I just want to commend the CEO, the staff in putting this together and showing others that we as a council taking a step further in doing something that may seem outside of our scope, but it is something that aligns particularly with our strategic community plan, that we have safe, reliable, efficient public transport and road networks. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brownlee. Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for? Before the mover has the right of reply, 325 odd passengers over the last 6 months, returning to country when they don't have the opportunity to do so via any other regular means. I appreciate also the amount of maintenance that goes into the bus. It's a tough road to the northeastern goldfields. However, the bus does come back on most occasions, well, all occasions, doesn't it? Because we've got it at the moment. But it does provide a safe journey. And a point of that councillors have made in regards to safety, it is also one where residents are able to, or visitors are able to use the service and get back to country when they've potentially come here through other means or through the RFDS and they find themselves isolated here with potentially nowhere to stay. They can return to country a lot quicker than any other means. Councillor Turner, you have the right of reply.
Yeah, so firstly, I'd like to thank my fellow councillors that have spoken on it, Councillor Brownlee for seconding the motion. I would like to highlight that this is a one-way bus, so that it is purely to assist people in getting them home. There's been a lot of, I'm going to say scuttlebutt in the community, that it's a two-way transport. It's not. It's for the various reasons that people are left in the city, that they come for many reasons, as the Mayor's highlighted, and they often can't get home. But by council being involved in assisting this, we were one of the few organisations at one stage, I think, with GEHO, we were the only ones assisting people getting home. So I'd just like to urge our councillors to support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Noting Councillor Bodica returning to the chamber at 8:24. No dissent recorded for that item. Carried 9-0. Item 15.4.1, Kalgoorlie-Boulder Basketball Association, asphalting of car park. Councillor Turner has declared a financial interest, and so have I. Deputy Mayor will take the seat.
Thank you, councillors. And do I have a mover for item 15.4.1, the Kalgoorlie Basketball Association asphalting of the car park? Councillor Viskovich. And do I have a seconder? Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Viskovich, would you like to speak to the motion?
Can I hold my right of reply, please?
And no comment from Councillor O'Donnell. Okay. Any speakers against the motion? Speakers for? Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Now, while I'm not opposed to providing additional support above and beyond the considerable sum we already have made to date to the Basketball Association in the sealing and asphalting of the car park, and will in fact be voting to support this motion, even though I believe that it is unfortunate that it has fallen to Council to do so after appropriate notification of the need to have this included and costed for as part of the planning process was clearly required as part of the March 2023 Council meeting. I do need to highlight that I have a concern over where it is being proposed that this work is to be paid from. Out of the $300,000 budgeted for the parking facilities car park constructions, $124,557.71 has been spent to date on city projects, leaving just over $175,000 for the remaining 6 months of this financial year. It is proposed that $139,097.97 be taken from this budget to pay for the additional support for KBBA. This would leave $36,344 for the remainder of this financial year for community car park constructions and works. To me, this has the potential to result in either some projects need to be pushed back until next financial year, or if there were no projects planned in this space, it could have seen this budget reduced at the time of development and other projects explored, or even a reduction of about 0.25% on the rates being paid by residents provided. The city launched one of our biggest works budget I've ever seen this year, in a bid to create growth, opportunity, and look to complete a number of long outstanding projects. Pulling funds from one location will undoubtedly have a knock-on effect somewhere else, and I'm concerned and just not clear on what this effect may look like. This all being said, I do think that to ensure the completion of this much anticipated project, that this item should go ahead, but I do hope this won't become an issue for the city or another project later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor Brownlee.
Deputy Mayor, just would really appreciate the comments made by Councillor Winner, and I do hope that in the future we'll be able to manage that much better. However, I do support this recommendation and would love to see sealing the completion of the car park of the new KBBA car parking facilities. So I will be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brownlee. Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'd just like to bring to the attention to Council that when this was submitted to RA, that it was very clearly put in that application to RA that the car park was under the eyes and the control of the Basketball Association. And I think that one slipped through to the keeper. They didn't realise that was there, hence it put them into a very difficult position. I think the city going forward and assisting to get this over the line and getting it finished, they're the one, and maybe waiting for some funding down the track. I think I've got to commend the city that we are doing this, but I wouldn't like to see it to become, like Councillor Winner said, something which is going to be familiar and happen, because it does now take away from other areas and other facilities that we could have done some work with ourselves. So in regards to that, I will support it, but I wouldn't like to see this as repeated before, and maybe a cautionary word to those who are going to be doing these developments themselves would be to have a really good read of what goes to RA and then what is going to be approved by them and then becomes a footprint that they've got to walk on.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. I'll give Councillor Viskovich the right of reply.
Thank you, Mrs Deputy Mayor. Appreciate Councillor Winner and Councillor Brownie and Councillor Johnson's comments. I believe I'm under the understanding, I could have this incorrect, that the land that the car park is on is not part of the KBBA lease contract. It's outside of their lease contract. And the old car park that was with the old building was actually upgraded by the council previously. Even so, I think it would be unfortunate to have such a prestigious building being available in Kalgoorlie-Boulder and having a lesser quality car park finished due to funds that are obviously becoming shorter. I have no doubt that the KBBA will appreciate if this motion is put forward, and I would love to see it go forward from my fellow councillors.
Thank you. And I'll just have a show of hands. I'll put this to the vote now. And those in favour, please raise your hands. That one has succeeded 7-0. Could we please have the others out of the room? Thank you.
Item 15.4.2, the proposed partial road closure or abandon at Davyhurst Road. I have Councillors Winner and Turner down to speak on this. Do we have a mover out of the two? No, not moving it, Councillor Turner. Winner. Councillor Turner, wish to move. Seconder? Councillor Bodica. Councillor Turner.
Okay, so I will reserve my right to reply to the end, if that's okay. Can I do that?
As long as you don't add any further information and you only respond to those comments that are being put forward. Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Bodica. No. Speaker against? Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to begin by saying I have concerns not over the what's being proposed, but I have concerns over the agreement reached by the city, and I'm not comfortable with approving this at this point in time. In particular, from the information provided to councillors, Schedule 2 of the proposed agreement does not outline any permit holders' conditions. I have concerns over the small termination notice that the applicant needs to comply with, and with the potential impact this could have on the city's budget depending on when and if it was enacted upon. I'm concerned that the city does not hold the same proposed termination options that the applicant does. I have concerns over the wording around possible extensions, and it is not clear in the information supplied to councillors on who and what a legitimate and reasonable purpose is for a permit to be issued, and if this would have any effect on current users of the road. While in principle, I understand and can see the logic in the proposal in itself, I do hold concerns over the agreement components themselves and would much rather see this item left on the table at this point in time to allow it to be further worked. Given there was over 30 submissions received in relation to this matter as part of public consultation, I think it is important we have the agreement in a position which works best for our community and safeguards us as a city against possible future issues. Thank you.
Speaker for the motion. Speaker against? Speaker for? Point of clarification, Councillor Turner, what is your question?
Just
I'll
want to
consider.
ask, last week at the agenda briefing, it was raised that through the terms and conditions of agreement and through several parts of it, the word Siberia is used. That was supposed to be, I believed, corrected because Siberia is the location, not...
No, there's no correction. Yeah. There is a, under the applicant's name, they have an entity titled Siberia.
Okay, so that's what the
question. So the deal would be with the Siberia company arm of their overall parent company.
Last week we asked that at the agenda briefing and that wasn't made clear.
Correct. Mr. CEO, did you want to refer that to the Director of Engineering to confirm? Yeah. Director of Engineering, can you please take to the podium just to confirm that, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the Mayor, that is correct. So it's actually the leaseholder or the tenement holder in that area, which is Siberia, which works under or abandoned mining.
Thank you. Not uncommon for many mine sites. Councillor O'Donnell, would you wish to speak? Point of clarification. You're after a question. Go ahead. What's your question?
Is Councillor Winner proposing a motion to take this off the table, or is it just being left to whether we just decide to go forward with this?
I didn't hear a motion being put.
I didn't. He mentioned lay it on the table and revisit it, so I was just curious.
If that was the case, so if at this point in time we're only considering the officer recommendation, there's no other alternate motion that is being put. I think I got up to speaker against, but I'll go speaker for. Speaker for, speaker against, speaker for, speaker against. The mover has the right of reply.
Okay. So whilst taking on note Councillor Winner's concerns, I'd like to raise that we had a presentation about this earlier in the year. There was public consultation. The city actually met with representatives from the Amalgamated Prospectors and Leaseholders Association, which I have also spoken to representatives from them myself about their concerns. I believe they were addressed with the permit system being extended from 3 months to 12 months. Is that correct to the director? We asked that last week. So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those against? Councillors Winner and Councillor Johnson, carried 7-2. Item 15.4.4, award of tender T002 2425 Usher Park Oasis Field Sporting Lighting Upgrade. I've got Councillors Winner and Turner. Do I have a mover out of those? Moved Councillor Turner. Seconder? Councillor Viskovich. Councillor Turner, proceed, please.
Okay, so I'm moving this motion because I wish it to be discussed at council. I may not vote for the motion. I will reserve the way I vote. I had several... can I ask some questions of the director? Is that permissible?
You can ask questions. You have a question. I'll consider your question first before the director gets a chance to respond. Go ahead.
So with our waiting for tenders, I was hoping that the director could provide some guidance for councillors when we're considering this. I was a little bit confused myself when I looked at it, at the waiting, and I do believe I asked a question last week. I was confused about relevant experience, how that is determined, and I was also, given that the preferred tender only has a fairly low relevant experience, and also the key personnel, I believe that's local content, and I'm a little bit confused about how that's weighting, given that some of the companies are local.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. I'll take those first of all. I know the CEO's just run into some IT issues to my left. The Director of Engineering, if you wish to answer any of those. Yep. The CEO's just grabbing some other details for you as well. And I think the Director may have those same IT issues. Do you, Director? I can pause for a couple of moments.
No, okay, through the mayor. So
go ahead.
So the weighting on, you talked about relevant experience. So it's at a 15%. So the preferred tenderer was 11 out of 15. Is that what you were asking, Councillor Turner?
It's not. Yeah, that's okay. Yep.
And then key personnel, regional contracting, where we take into account key personnel and then the companies that are located within the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. So the preferred contractor, it was low there comparative to the others.
Thank you, Director. I believe your questions are relating to items in accordance with the city's purchasing policy, Councillor Turner.
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you. Did you have anything else for the Director while he's there?
Yeah, I suppose, well, I'm a little bit, I don't. I think I do, but I don't, because I don't understand. I'm not going to say I understand how our panel that looks at this works this out, because on the questions, the way that it's written, maybe I'd give people a higher rating, but I'm not on the panel.
Correct, you're not on the panel, and the panel can only go on the information provided. No other further questions, Councillor Turner? No? Thank you. So you've spoken as the mover and asked questions. Seconder, which was Councillor Viskovich. Anything to add to debate, Councillor Viskovich? Councillor Turner, can I get you to turn your microphone off too, please? Thank you. Speaker for the motion. Speaker against the motion. Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be speaking against this motion tonight as I have some concerns as raised by Councillor Turner on exactly how the weighting on the assessments of these tenders have been applied given the results and officer recommendations. There appears to me to be a number of inconsistencies with how the weighting may have been applied, which I'd like to have discussed further prior to awarding this tender to ensure equity.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Just making note. Can you just repeat those dates for us, please, Councillor? Sorry.
That the item be brought back to a concept forum for councillors to discuss further with staff prior to the item being considered at the January 2025 ordinary council meeting.
Thank you. That's prior to the 2025 January council meeting, so that would come back for the January 6 concept forum. Is the speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Mr. CEO, did you want to add anything? Now your text back up and running, you're all good. The mover has the right of reply.
Yes, so I thank the Director for his answers earlier and also very much take on board what Councillor Winner said. On a previous, I'd just like to note, on a previous tender that we had come up, how the weighting was done completely different. So it seems from one tender to the next, we're not doing it the same weighting. So what Councillor Winner has said, I'm going to take on board when I do my voting.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. As we have had a foreshadowed motion being put, if the vote is lost, that motion will then be debated. Those in favour for the officer recommendation, please raise your hand. 2. Those against? The vote is lost. Those voting for the motion, just for the record, was the Mayor and Deputy Mayor. The foreshadow motion comes into play. Councillor Winner, sorry. Councillor Winner, I think we've got that on the screen for councillors to look at. Do you wish to add anything to that? That's correct? Correct. Okay, so do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Turner. Councillor Winner, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Much like the comments I said previously, I think just to ensure that we are taking all considerations in the awarding of tenders, particularly a tender as significant as this, that we are all across how the weighting is assessed, and there's no questions left in any of our minds as we go through this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Councillor Turner? Sorry, Mr. CEO? It's only the mover speaks on the procedure. Thank you. And therefore, there's no other speaking. Because it's on... yes, of course, to lie on the table. Court. Court winner, Bold Turner. The vote is there with Councillor Winner. Those in favour of the foreshadowed motion, please raise your hand. Carried 9-0. Thank you, Mr. CEO. Again, a good catch. 15.45, award of tender T024-2324 Kingsbury Park Minor Works. Councillor Winner, you wish to move the motion? Yes, moving that is Councillor Winner. Seconding that motion, Councillor Viskovich. We're up to 15.45, the award of tender T024-2324 Kingsbury Park Minor Works. All good? That was the lights. Yep, no, that's already been moved. That's what we've just worked on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. While I will be speaking and as a mover of this motion, supporting this motion, I, much like a number of others I'd imagine, am not happy that this project has been hit with delays and is now being hit with a requested cost variation increase of around $1 million. The fact that we as a council had endorsed a set budget, only to have that budget so far off when it comes to actually tendering for the project, has me frustrated over the processes we have when assessing the budget we are allocating to projects and how tenders themselves are being chosen to quote. As I raised with earlier items, when projects go so far over budget expectations, it puts strains on other places, and that means either something needs to be dropped, pushed back, or changed to factor in this cost. I appreciate that we are restricted on negotiating when we are trying to deliver a product and have limited applicants for the tender apply. In this case, one. But increases like this hurt. Now, don't get me wrong, I think this project is long overdue and has the potential to offer generational benefits for the children and youth of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. But we need to find better ways to deliver projects on time and on budget, and we need the assistance of our community to do this. Hopefully, these are the last hiccups to this project, and we are not too far off opening what will be an incredible space for our children and youth. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Wynne. I've got some questions. First of all, our budget for this particular item that we approved in July was for $6.4 million at that point in time. So therefore, this is within the scope of the tender that Councillor Winner has pointed out, that this is over budget, but we've already adjusted the budget as per the annual budget which we handed down 24-25. Is that correct, Mr. CEO? So while the debate there, because from my recollection, we had 2.3 million from the state, 2.3 million from Lottery West, and we contributed 2.
Through to me, we are still 800,000 short
From the previous budget that we've already approved.
from the previous approved budget.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Winner.
But Mr. Mayor, just clarifying, so we are over budget.
Correct. The speaker was Councillor Boddicker. You wish to follow up?
This has been a really long-awaited project, and I'm sure that the community is going to be really excited to see it come to fruition. It is disappointing that it's gone over budget, but I think that the quicker that we can actually see this completed will be much better for the community, the fabric of the community, and also make it a safe place for people to visit and spend time in.
Thank you, Councillor Boddicker. Speaker against? Question, Councillor Turner. I'll consider your question.
Just the question I have, I suppose it's to the CEO through the Mayor. When we have, I'm going to say something that's like a joint development, great, fantastic project, we need it for our youth, and we have shared funding streams. I just question, when these things go over budget, why is it the city that's left with the bill, and why isn't it split between all proponents? Do we go back to them and say, it's gone over budget, can you help us out? Is that a process? Can we do that? Because our ratepayers are left with a bill, but it's 3 parties that are party to it.
Great question, Councillor Turner. Mr. CEO?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, generally when you apply for grants and you get election commitments or wherever else funding may come from, you do provide the cost of the project up front, and that's the cost of the project. Any overruns usually are borne by the organisation. It is often a term of the agreement.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for? Mover has the right to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I do want to stress, I'm very excited to see this project come about, as I know our community is. And as I did raise previously, I do truly believe this has the potential to be a generational benefit project for the children and youth of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. We desperately do need our community to continue to tender for projects and assist the city in delivering all of these commitments that our community wants to ensure that the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder can continue to be that place where we all enjoy to live, and we can continue to attract and grow new families to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. There was no dissent recorded from debate, but I will raise it just as a point. Those in favour of Councillor Winner's motion, please raise your hand. Those against? It was carried 9-0. Thank you. Questions which due notice has been given, there are nil. We have 5 confidential items tonight. One of those is the Australia Day Award nominations, an award of tender for a construction of the Goldfields Arts Centre Events Pavilion alongside a probity review update, disposal of land, Area 1 Broadwood and Lot 500, 101 Brookman Street, Kalgoorlie. We'll now invite those who are in the gallery to leave until we can discuss those. Can I have a mover that we move into camera, please, into confidentiality? Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. Seconded, Councillor Bodica. No discussion, councillors. Thank you. We'll move into camera. Thank you, Councillor Viskovich and Councillor Bodica. Council considered the following items behind closed doors this evening as confidential items. 17.1 was the Australia Day Awards nominations. 17.2 was the tender regarding the construction of the Goldfields Arts Centre Events Pavilion. 17.13 was a probity review update. 17.14 was the disposal of land Area 1 Broadwood. And 17.15 was Lot 500, 101 Brookman Street. A summary of those confidential items will be available for you when perusing the minutes. Just before I close the meeting at 9:49 p.m, what a late night. I'd like to acknowledge that Councillor Brownlee's back in the room. He wasn't here for the last vote on our confidential. I would like to take the opportunity to wish all of our staff a very Merry Christmas and all the best for 2025. The work that's gone into the city over the last 12 months has been very much appreciated by all 9 members around this table today. So can I thank Mr CEO, yourself, and all of our staff members, from our directors all the way down to our casual staff. We've made some big differences in our community over the last 12 months, and I'm excited for 2025. So thank you, Mr CEO. Enjoy your break and happy 2025 a Merry Christmas and safe travels. To our elected members, thank you for your commitment for 2024. It's much appreciated. We've been through a lot in 2024 and we look forward to 2025 and delivering on many of those platforms that we have set up for the new year. And it will be a very big year. We've got 3 elections next year, so all the very best of luck to all of our community, to be honest. And with that, I will close the meeting now at 9:50, wishing you all a Merry Christmas. Our elected members, be safe, and we will see you in 2025. And thank you very much for your attendance.